Recording in progress.
Governor Murphy, when you're ready.
Thanks, Michelle. Good afternoon, everybody. We thought we would give you a quick summary of this storm, end of day. Really the most significant South Jersey snow event in almost exactly 4 years, literally a couple of weeks before I put my hand on the Bible. I think it was 4 years ago tomorrow. And we were just having an internal huddle, and Diane Gutierrez Skechetti, by the way, I'm joined by her, Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, by the Superintendent of State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan, by the President of the Board of Public Utilities, Joe Fiordaliso. And Diane made the point, particularly specific to South Jersey, the forecast on this one was pretty much spot on. It did imply that we get some snow, light potential snow in Central and North Jersey. That looks like that is not going to happen. So this is a south of 195 event, and in certain parts, it is a very, very substantial snowstorm. As you all know, we declared a state of emergency in 5 counties last night, effective 9 o'clock. Under Pat's leadership, the State Emergency Operations Center was activated at midnight, as I recall, to monitor the storm, and it continues to coordinate as we sit here with local, county, and state resources. We had a delayed opening of the state workforce today till 10 a.m. Heavy snow continues to fall throughout the south region of the state. And I think the most impacted counties are Atlantic, Southeast Burlington, Cape May, Cumberland, and Gloucester. We expect the storm to stop early evening. I think I'd add Southern Ocean County into that. I was back and forth with County Commissioner Director Gary Quinn. I think Southern Ocean got a very significant hit. I think, and Pat will correct me when he's up to bat, if you're on the sort of the western edge of those counties, it's a 1 to 4 inch reality. If you're more toward the shore, it is a much more significant reality. I think Pat said Absecon is the place that we know that has the highest tick that we have as of this hour, and that was 13 inches. But on that eastern side, you've got a lot of communities with a 6 to 10 or 11 inch snowfall. As I said, we expect the storm to stop early evening. The winter storm warning for Camden, Gloucester, Salem, Monmouth, and Burlington counties expired a short while ago at 4 o'clock. The warnings, the winter storm warnings for Atlantic, Cape May, Cumberland are set to expire at 7 p.m. this evening. There is some coastal flooding reported at this time. Pat will give you one specific instance of that. That remains something we're concerned about, but it's less than we had feared. The Board of Public Utilities has been in constant communication with all of the utilities to ensure there are resources ready to respond across all areas of New Jersey by the utilities. Outage numbers, and Joe will correct me, but the latest figures that we've got are 3,331 outages. The bulk of those in the JCP&L and Atlantic City Electric areas of operation. And I think Joe mentioned he can get into this. Barnegat Township accounts for literally more than half of those outages. So there's something going on there. Diane, under Diane's leadership, the Department of Transportation is working to keep our roadways clear. I know there are at least 3 local asks for support that either she or Pat will refer to. Diane and team are partnering with their colleagues at the county and local level and with our toll road authorities to get the job done. And I think, Diane, you'll correct the record. Exits sort of 72 and lower on the Garden State Parkway, depending on how far lower you define lower. It's either 45 miles an hour speed limit or 35 miles an hour with a significant amount of wind and still some accumulation. Last I got 160 accidents reported. First responders have come to the aid of 245 motorists. Pat, I think that was as of 3:45. So folks, if you can, please stay off the roads and let the crews tend to their jobs. If you are out and you have no choice and you come upon a plowing or spreading operation, please let them pass and clear the roadway. If your power goes out, don't assume your neighbor's going to call it in. Please call it in. If you see a down power line, don't go near it. Call that in. For additional emergency preparedness, weather safety tips, or any other information on the storm, my favorite place to go is the all-encompassing website, ready.nj.gov. Let's continue to stay safe, folks, and please, if you can, stay off the roads. Let this thing get cleaned up over the course of the evening, and then hopefully get a fresh start commute in the morning. With that, please help me welcome the Commissioner of the Department of Transportation, Diane Gutierrez Skechetti. Diane?
Thanks, Governor. Governor covered a lot of our roadway conditions on the Garden State Parkway. We are at speed reductions from basically Toms River south. As the governor stated, there is still accumulating snow. There are high winds. Our plow teams are working hard to keep up with the storm. And as the governor said, please do not pass or cut in between a plow team. It's very dangerous for you and for them. We have about 2,200 pieces of equipment working throughout the state. We'll continue to work through the night, even after this storm passes off early evening, as the governor said. There's a lot of work to be done in continuing to salt the roads, make sure that they don't freeze up overnight so that people can have a safe commute in the morning. It still requires, obviously, very careful driving. And if you don't need to be out this evening, probably just as well to stay home. For us at New Jersey Transit, to get the most up-to-the-date information on transit services in South Jersey, go to njtransit.com for information on Atlantic City Rail, the River Line, and any bus service in the region. We'll continue to work the storm until we feel the roads are dry and black. That is always the goal. Turnpike, Parkway, Atlantic City Expressway are all working as hard. It's also important to note Atlantic City Airport did close for a period of time today as they continue to work to clear the runways. They did cancel a few flights this afternoon. So if you have a flight out of Atlantic City Airport, please check with your airline, and make sure that that flight is still going to go out. And you can check the airport website as well. And with that, Gov, I will turn it back to you.
Thanks, Diane. Lots of reasons these days for flights getting canceled, and now Mother Nature is weighed in, right? Thanks for your leadership, and please thank the men and women who make up the fantastic Department of Transportation, who, by the way, have to operate, as do the state police and the electric service providers and Joe's folks, under COVID protocols if the storm weren't bad enough. With that, please help me welcome the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan. Pat, over to you.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. I'll just echo most of the remarks. Our troopers have handled 160 accidents, 245 motorist aids, which is a lot of spinouts where they don't actually strike anything. And I'm sure the local police departments are, especially in the southern part, are experiencing similar numbers with regards to accidents and motorist aids. To your point about flooding, US 40 down in Egg Harbor Township remains closed both east and westbound due to the flooding, and the detours around that location have been help us mitigate the traffic issues down there. And again, I know we were just on with President Fioraliso, and I just got updated. We wondered why there was so many outages in Barnegat, and that was a car accident that took out about 1,800 customers' power down there. That's estimated to be restored by 6 o'clock tonight, Gov. So that literally just came across my phone in the last 2 minutes if President Fioraliso did not get that. And again, they account for about half of those outages there. So also to the commissioner's point, I know DOT is going to clear those roads, but it's still going to remain cold. So just motorists, if you got to be out there, especially tomorrow's commute, certainly a concern about black ice and the refreeze that happens as a result of, salting, then refreezing. So just everybody should be certainly mindful of that. Our State Emergency Operations Center will remain open and monitoring any resource requests throughout the night. But as you said, this is supposed to taper off down south by 6 or 7 o'clock tonight, but it's best if folks just stay home. Thanks, Governor.
Pat, thank you, and thank you for solving the Barnegat Township mystery. I hope that person or persons are okay, but that explains a big chunk that went out there. Which means if you do the math, you've got about 1,500 outages on the balance. Other than that, spread across, Joe, I think almost entirely JCP&L and Atlantic City Electric, only a handful of PS&G, E&Gs.
Right.
With that, please help me welcome the President of the Board of Public Utilities, Joe Fiordalisa. Joe?
Thank you, Governor. And Pat, thanks so much for that. We kind of figured that something wasn't, the equation wasn't quite right. Obviously, something happened, a dramatic thing happened that knocked out so many customers and so on. And, and I ask people to be patient. Both Atlantic City Electric and JCP&L, where most of the snow is accumulating, is in their territories, have done a wonderful job in keeping up with the outages as we go along. As long as those winds stay under 40 miles an hour, those folks are out there doing their job. And it's not an easy one, obviously, as you can imagine in conditions like this. So just try to be patient. If you're without power, they are out there working as we speak, and they are taking care of getting people back online as quickly as possible. And again, I just want to reiterate what the governor mentioned. Any down power lines, please just stay away from them. You don't know if they're hot. You don't know what condition they're in or anything. That best thing to do is just stay away. And if you do lose power, please call your provider. They don't necessarily know that you've lost power. And don't assume, as the governor mentioned, that someone else called in your neighborhood. You called. Let them know that you're without power so they can dispatch. And as I said yesterday, since this is really almost a regional storm, where Central and North Jersey were not affected, all of the resources that are available within state are helping out as far as those areas that have been severely impacted by this. So I am happy to one extent that the number of outages aren't as high as I anticipated, but we certainly want to get you folks who are without power up and running as soon as possible. So thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Joe. Two caveats to what I'm about to say. Number one outage is too much. And number two, you declare victory at your own peril, right? You never spike a football or pat yourself on the back. But I think it's quite clear, based on investments that we've made, help from the feds, that the electric service providers themselves have made over the past 4 years, we have a more resilient state than we had 4 years ago as it relates to outages. Put differently, we're losing power in fewer places with like-weighted storms, both winter and warm weather storms. That's a trend, and it's not just this storm, but that is a trend. Let's hope that it keeps up, that we don't jinx ourselves by even saying that, but there's no question that is the case.
Governor, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, sir, but I think it's important what you said and the importance of infrastructure. Infrastructure drives so much of what we do on a daily basis, our economy and so on. So I'm so pleased with what's happening as far as Washington is concerned with the infrastructure bill and things of that sort. We have to keep up with our infrastructure.
No question.
And that's a great point. Thank you, sir.
Storms, we said this last night, more frequent, more intensity, less predictability. On this one, to quote back to Diane from our huddle earlier, this one was well predicted, and we ought to give the shout out there as well to the National Weather Service, not just the extraordinary colleagues that are on the screen and their colleagues with me right now. Michelle, let's turn it to you. If we have any questions, a couple from the press on topic, if you could, please. Otherwise, we'll fold our tent.
Great. If any of the members of the media have a question, if they could raise their hand and we will call on you. Okay, we're going to take a question from Rye Rivard.
Hi, Rye.
Hello, sorry, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Good, how are you, Governor? I hope the First Lady's still feeling good.
She is. Thanks for asking.
Just a question on the outages. They seem pretty minimal, but how does this compare to previous storms? I haven't been around for that long, so help me out.
You know, I don't have a specific, but Joe, it would be help. We can get back to Rye. It would be a very helpful to look at the outages from the storm of January 4th, 2018.
Yep.
Which is a similar, broadly similar storm. Pat, you were here. I was not. Diane was not. Joe was on the scene. But that would be a good one to compare. We are clearly, again, this is not just this storm. Storms of late, both warm weather and cold weather storms, have led to fewer outages. And again, I think that has a lot to do with resiliency investments, a lot to do with vegetation management on the part of the utilities. That's particularly relevant, more so than not, in JCP&L's territory. And some, significant steps that we have made ourselves. But Joe, how would you? Again, I don't want to ever run the risk of patting ourselves on the back. We'll probably this will blow up in our face in the next storm. But how would you answer that?
The investments that have been made, Governor, over the past 4 years have been tremendous in the infrastructure. And I am happy to see that those investments are starting to pay off. And we can see that through the number of outages in this particular storm as opposed to previous storms. And we saw that with Ida as an example also, where the number of outages and so on. And as you say, one outage is one too many. And our goal is to have none. And that's not realistic, frankly, but that's our goal. But Rye, we will get you information on previous storms. And that's why infrastructure is so important, and we have to stay on top of it every single day.
And recognizing no two storms are exactly alike, but that's the one I would look back to. And I raised that one without the knowledge of exactly how many were out for that storm, but we'll see. Ida's an example of a storm that had awful tragedy, overwhelming tragedy associated with flooding and tornadoes, but not related to power outages.
That's right.
Anyone else, Michelle?
That is it. Seems you have everything else covered. There are no other hands raised.
Okay, Mahan, make sure if you could to follow up with Rye on behalf of Diane, Pat, Joe, myself, the rest of the team, everybody out there, stay safe. If you can stay off the roads in South Jersey tonight, please do so. If you're out there, please be careful. Respect the rights of way of the cleanup crews and plows. If you've lost your power, call it in. If you've got a wire down, don't go near it, call it in. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm, and we'll be in touch over the next day or so with any other updates. Take care, folks.
Thank you.